Before we even get into politics, agencies, or arguments, I want to slow this down and talk about what actually happened. A 21-year-old kid lost the sight in one of his eyes. That's not a bruise, that's not a rough arrest, that's not something you heal from and move on. Sight is a sense. Once it's gone, it's gone. Same with hearing, same with speech, same with smell, touch. These aren't injuries you just walk off. They change how you live forever. So when people rush to debate whether force was justified, I think they skip the most important part, the severity of the outcome. We're talking about a human being permanently losing part of how they experience the world. Now, yes, two things can be true. It's possible something happened that escalated the situation. But when the result is someone losing an eye, the bar of justification is incredibly high. And that's why this story matters.
And yeah,
Kaden, Kaden.
yeah, Kaden.
You want to give us your last name?
Sure.
Okay.
Rumler.
Okay, spell that, please.
Rummler.
Okay, you are 21.
Yes, I'm 21.
Okay. Tell us about just what hit you. Do you know what hit you, and what are you going through?
Look at this kid's eye. Most likely traumatized. He can't see out that eye for the rest of his life.
They called it a PSL bullet. We've tried to contact them to know what kind of metal it is and what it is, and they kind of not let us know. Like, my doctor tried to contact DHS, and they gave her a phone number, and then that person gave her a phone number, and that person gave her a phone number, and then that phone number went to nothing. And my dad went to the office and tried to ask them about it, and they kind of just wouldn't tell him anything. So
okay. Basically, I think they call this a less than lethal round.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Based on everything that's going on, I wouldn't be surprised if the kid didn't earn what happened. So all I could say is the horrific way ICE has been acting. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they did it unjustly.
How did it feel?
I remember when it hit me, I kind of didn't realize what happened, really. I remember falling to my knees, and I remember covering my head, and it was just like this pressure and this ringing in my ear, and like everything just started muffling, and like, I don't know, it felt kind of surreal in the sense. I felt like, I think I had so much adrenaline from the impact that I wasn't really fully feeling it yet, I don't think.
Did you know you were bleeding profusely?
I felt like a lot of warmth on my face, but like I couldn't really tell that I was bleeding quite yet. It wasn't until he started dragging me when I really felt it and knew I was bleeding.
What were you saying in that moment
when he was dragging me?
Yeah.
This was closed and it was choking me, and I was trying to grab at it, and I was like, I can't breathe, and he just kept dragging me and didn't say a word. So,
what are your thoughts? What's going through your mind right now?
Right now, well, I'm not really sure. I'm mostly trying to remember and make sure I get the details right.
He's trying not to be hateful after losing his vision in one eye. Thank God he has another eye.
And stuff, going over it in my mind. I've been going over it a lot lately. It's, kind of sucks having to relive it over and over to tell all these people, but it's something that I think needs to be done. So.
Were you given medical attention quickly? What happened after you were dragged into the building?
Once I was dragged into the building, he had me.
This is a young man protesting, peacefully protesting.
Down on the floor, and I remember seeing this pile of blood. It was like really dark coagulated blood. It was like a pile bigger than my face, and like he pushed my head into it like this, and he just held me there, and then with his free hand he was on top of me, and he was putting my hands behind my back really aggressively and handcuffing me, and I was pleading with him. I was like, call an ambulance. Please call an ambulance. There's so much blood. Please call an ambulance.
When I first found out that the kid lost sight in one of his eyes, I looked it up. This is what I found out. A 21-year-old activist says he was permanently blinded after being struck by a less lethal munition during an anti-ICE protest outside a federal building in Santa Ana, California.
I'm gonna bleed out. Please call an ambulance. He didn't say a word. He's completely silent.
Did they ever, or did he ever mock you? Saying, you're going to be blind in that eye?
Well, that was when that happened. It was so people I couldn't see at this point, so I don't know who it was. But when they took me outside to go to the ambulance, which wasn't there yet, I was standing out in the cold, leaning against a rail. And
some of the ICE agents are so cold. It's crazy. A 21-year-old demonstrator named Caden Rumler was hit in the face by a projectile fired by a federal agent during an anti-ICE protest outside Santa Ana, California federal building on January 9th, 2026. He was hospitalized, underwent surgery, and has permanently lost vision in one eye after the injury. Videos of the incident show a federal officer firing a projectile at close range. The protest took place amid heated tensions about enforcement tactics. Reports note he also experienced a fractured skull and other facial trauma after being struck.
And they wouldn't let me sit because they were like, you won't be able to get up. So they made me stand, and I had no shoes on, and I was cold and shivering, and two people were talking. I couldn't see them. I couldn't see anything. And they kind of like said, like, they were like chuckling and saying how I won't ever get to see out of my left eye again, just chuckling.
Wow.
And I remember saying, shame on you guys for laughing at the fact that I'll never see again. Shame on you. And after that, they kind of shut up and went silent.
How long did you wait before the ambulance came? Do you know?
I was really out of it. I was just trying to focus on staying conscious. So.
Listen, there's no way to justify this. They took his eye. What would the kid have had to have done to lose his eye? Peacefully protest? That warrants an eyeball being lost. You could protest as long as you're peaceful. So not only did he not deserve getting his eye taken, he didn't even deserve a push, a shove, nothing. But yet they take his eye. Then they laugh. You know, I've seen how cold they can be.
I'm not entirely sure, but it was at least 30 minutes.
Well, can you tell us about your injuries now and the prognosis? Will you be blind in that eye for life?
From what I've heard the doctors say and everyone else, yes, I will be blind for life. They said my globe was ruptured. I had my lower lid was cut up, and they had to take skin from my temple to fix it.
You gotta think, man, if this was your kid and he was like, I'm not okay with what ICE is doing, don't you think I should stand up for what's going on? And it's his right to peacefully protest. So he goes and tries to exercise his right, and he loses the eye for it. You telling me that that's okay? This is just one of the many instances. Rest in peace, Renee Good.
There's a lot to it. I don't remember all the things that they said. I have fractures in my skull that they can't fix, and I can't sneeze or cough because it's dangerous too. I remember also when I shot, there was pepper in it, and I had pepper down my throat. It made it hard to breathe for a long time. They pulled a piece of plastic the size of a nickel out of my eye. They said I had shards of metal, glass, and plastic all throughout my eye and behind my eye and in my skull. And they also said that I had a piece of shrapnel metal about a few millimeters away from my carotid artery. And they said it was a miracle I survived, because if it got any closer, if it hit that, I would have died that night.
You see nothing out of the eye?
Nothing out of the eye. Yeah, it's black.
What are your thoughts on getting shot like this? And the level of force that was used?
It was completely unnecessary. 5'1", I weigh 102 pounds. Just a push would have done enough to get me back, and it's completely unnecessary to shoot me.
There it goes right there. That's the first time that I heard an accusation against the officers stating that they did something that was unjustified.
Like in the face, in my eye, only a few feet away from me. I think he was trying to kill me. I fully believe he was trying to kill me. So,
will this change your methods going forward in terms of activism, protests? Is this having any impact on that part of your life?
No, I won't let it. I won't let them silence my voice. I will keep going to these protests and chant and do the chants and speak out and tell people what they need to hear, I guess. You know.
You're part of a group called Dare to Struggle, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Can you tell us a little bit about the group?
ICE is under heightened scrutiny, public distrust, recent controversies involving use of force, national protests already in motion. Now, if you heard something happen and the people that were accused didn't have the horrible reputation that ICE has, it'd be different. But this is not even like, this is past saying these guys are bad. There's protests all over the country over this. You know, if you talk about a bad rep, I mean, it doesn't get no worse than this. It's to the point where there's civil unrest. And it's because the way they're letting these guys run loose without repercussions. You know, it's gotten to the point where it really looks like they could get away with unaliving you.
They advocate for social justice. They do protest against police killings, like the one of Albert Arzola, the 19-year-old who was shot and killed by Anaheim PD. Right, I think it was around his birthday. It was really sad. They've been protesting for Renee Good.
Unity is important. This kid, you know, he doesn't look of Latin descent. He just looks like a normal person fighting for everybody. He doesn't care. It looks like he doesn't care about nationality. He doesn't care about skin color. He doesn't care about culture. It's strictly about what's right and what's wrong.
And yeah, they're really good people. I would trust them with my life.
I read your father's heartfelt statement on Facebook saying he's a conservative Republican. You're a liberal Democrat, if that's fair to say.
His father is the polar opposite of what he believes.
I would call myself a leftist more so.
A leftist?
Yeah.
But that he believes in the rule of law and supports law enforcement, but says this was not.
They call me a Democrat, but I just want to be a person who cares about what's right. I don't like labels. I wish it wasn't where it was Democrats and Republicans and all these labels. You know, it just should be the people that are righteous. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be so many labels, and it should be where we agree more on humanity. But what happened is that the almighty buck makes his way into this, and it messes everybody's mind up. And not everybody. There are people that have morals. They decide to turn down the dollar if it requires selling out. But then there's people, they're really horrible. You don't want to stoop to people's levels.
Right.
Yeah.
And that people should be treated fairly.
Yeah.
How do you feel about your father speaking out for you?
That's fine. He's his own person. He can say what he wants to say, I guess. That's all I have to say to that.
Sounds like friction.
John Washington, John, Washington, like the state. I'm a civil rights lawyer, and myself and my colleagues are representing Caden currently and exploring all our options.
Are you based here in Southern California, John?
Yes,
okay.
Yeah, out of Los Angeles.
Are you considering legal action against DHS? What's going on here?
We're currently investigating and keeping all of our options open, including legal action.
What is your summation on what happened to Kay?
I mean, I think anyone who sees the video can tell. I think it's just completely unjustifiable use of force, and the force used was, as you just heard from about the injuries, was lethal force.
You know, I would believe that civil rights lawyer in a heartbeat over the guys out there being so aggressive and violent.
There's no justification for it in these circumstances. Caden is a 100-pound, 21-year-old who's
5'1",
High flying.
right, yeah. Who's only holding a megaphone and wasn't a threat to the officer. And we're still working out the details of what specifically Caden was shot with, but it's clear that you cannot aim one of these weapons at someone and shoot them in the face, let alone point blank.
It was just a few feet away.
Yeah.
And it was almost instant from the footage I saw. You rushed after your friend who was being dragged away, and then almost like that.
Yeah, it happened so fast I didn't have time to process it.
This is completely unacceptable. there's no justification for this use of force. There's protesters in Southern California and elsewhere are trying to have their voices heard. I think the irony was that Caden was protesting excessive force from ICE and then was brutally shot in the face. So I think this cannot continue.
They officially call it a less than lethal round, but in your opinion, it was a lethal round. Is that what you're saying?
So less than lethals are called less than lethals when you're using them how they're supposed to be used. These weapons are not supposed to be aimed within a couple feet and fire on someone's face. And this appears to be intentional. I mean, you can watch it from the video. So they're called less than lethals because they are still lethal sometimes, and that's when you're using them correctly. This is obviously not how you're supposed to use these weapons, so it's very much a lethal use of force, as Caden described.
You're supposed to hit him somewhere that it won't do. Like, you shot him in the eye. It fractured his skull. He almost died. You know, he could have died. You know, the rounds are not, they're lethal if you hit the person in the wrong place. You can't guarantee that the projectile won't land there. You get what I'm saying? Even if you're a marksman. So maybe they should make the rounds truly non-lethal, because they're not.
Came very close to being lethal in this instance.
If shards had gotten into,
Well, I think there are shards, but
Yeah, they can't operate on it because it's the risk of dying is too high. So I will always have metal shards in my head.
Always
if they
have
were to go into
shards
your
in-
brain, then that could be
I mean,
lethal.
like I said, I have that one still in there that's right next to my carotid artery. They can't take that out.
Non-lethal. He'll always have metal shards in his head for the rest of his life. He can't see. He lost vision in one eye. This close to death, fractured skull. And we have a civil rights attorney here saying that it was unjust. Before I said ICE had no right to do it, I let the civil rights lawyer say it first. I waited for the kid to say they had no right to do that. We have two people here right now saying that ICE shot him in the eye with what's supposed to be a non-lethal round, but he came this close to death. As time progresses, we'll see how the case unfolds.
And also, we don't know if the metals have neurotoxins in them because they won't tell us what's in them. My doctors are worried about that. And honestly, I don't know what's going to happen if they do have neurotoxins because, like I said, it's too dangerous to operate on them.
Imagine if this was your son. First of all, the father's, I believe he condemned the behavior of ICE and stood up for his son. The kid, he's a young man. He's out here trying to make his mark as a good person, not a bad person. And he's telling abusive officers to leave them alone. Some people would say that it should be applauded. You know, I'm one of those people, but like I said, whether I was saying it was good or bad, it don't matter. His eyesight in one eye does not deserve to be taken because he's out there saying leave these people alone. Whatever happened to the Constitution? The Constitution is one of the most beautiful pieces of writing ever. I don't even know how to describe how epic the Constitution is. They wrote gold, you know, they wrote platinum. That's the most amazing. You know, when I hear the Constitution and how it protects people, why would anybody want to violate the Constitution? All right, people, much love, real love. You already know what it is. I'm gonna leave it at this. At some point, we have to stop pretending this is normal. A federal agency took a human being's eyesight, and the response is still wait and see. That alone tells you how far things have drifted. Losing an eye isn't crowd control. It isn't restraint. It's permanent damage, the kind that never heals and never gets undone. And this is why ICE doesn't get the benefit of the doubt anymore. Not because of one incident, but because of growing patterns that seem extreme. Outcomes are met with vague explanations and little accountability. Even if investigations are ongoing, the severity speaks for itself. When force results in irreversible harm, the standard should be absolute restraint, not excuses after the fact. If this is considered acceptable, then the line has already been crossed, and that should concern everyone, regardless of politics. It's your boy Spank Dog. I'm out of here. Much love, real love, peace.